Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hello Future by Dear Data. My name is Josefin Bokvist, and I will be your training host here today. So, if you're currently working within sales and marketing and you're trying to figure out how you can apply more artificial intelligence to your processes, well, then this is the training for you. Within Hello Future, we look at artificial intelligence from a business perspective, and we take you through the necessary steps to gain value and get your implementations right. Today, we're going to look at a churn use case. And churn is when your customers leave you. And with the help of artificial intelligence, you can predict and prevent this from happening. And we're going to use a fictive company called Dear Data TV that offers subscription based streaming services. And we're going to go through the following steps. We're going to start with understanding the value that a churn model could bring to your business and how you can measure the impact. We're going to look at the steps that you would go through in implementing a model like this. We will look at the roles and the competences you would need. We will look at the needed data, and we will also look at the technical capabilities, the systems that are normally involved in an implementation like this. And then, of course, no training session is complete without some dear advice. So let's go. So let's start with understanding the value and the impact that a churn model might have on your business. So if you're currently today not working with artificial intelligence or machine learning as part of your marketing and sales processes, you're most likely working more rule-based. So here are some rule-based examples from the Dear Data TV of what that might look like. So we might have some welcome journeys, we might have some hi, here's some new content journeys, and we might also have some goodbye journeys here. But by adding a churn model, we could enhance the intelligence in this, and we could secure that we could prevent and proactively communicate with some customers that are likely to leave based on patterns that we have detected in data. So I've added some journeys here that are based on the output of our churn model, where we would be able to maybe reach out to some of our customers and give them 1 month of a free subscription, or we might invite them to some exclusive content review. So these are some examples of how you would evolve your ecosystem. So it's not about starting from scratch. It's really about evolving and enhancing the already existing marketing and sales journeys with more intelligence. But then how would you know that this is actually adding value? Well, you don't. So you need to measure that. So initially, you need to decide and define some KPIs, some key performance indicators that would help you understand the impact of your churn model in this case. So some example KPIs here would be maybe looking at churn. Makes sense, right? Looking at like how many customers are actually leaving. We would like to, of course, see a decrease in customers leaving. But we would also need to look broader, maybe at customer lifetime value, because if we started giving away all of our services for free, then that wouldn't make sense. We would have high volume but very low value from a customer perspective. So this needs to be a combination of volume, value over time, which is the CLV. We could also look at things like customer satisfaction. Are we able to capture some of our most dissatisfied customers and help them and do the right thing? There are obviously lots of different KPIs that are possible to look at and to use and set up to track and monitor your implementations. And you can go to our website to see some more of them. And on our website, you can also see some reference KPIs for what some other customers have been able to achieve with their churn models. So now you are eager to get started. Well, here are the steps. Number 1, business requirements and stakeholder alignment. You need to know what it is that you are trying to develop and what you are aiming for, and you need to align this with your stakeholders. Pretty basic, but very important. Number 2, data discovery. And this is a step where you will likely get stuck unless you have previously worked a lot with your data. So for now, we're going to assume that you have your data accessible with good quality so that we can move to the next step, which is actually the model development. So unfortunately, artificial intelligence is no magic, it's pure mathematics. So we need to find a suitable algorithm so that we can train the model to find patterns that can help us predict churn. Once we have trained the model and we're happy with it and it's performing well, then we can start deploying it into our existing system landscape and integrate it with our existing processes. And once we've done this, you might think it's over, but it's not. This is when we're really getting starting. We need to continue to evaluate to see that the model continues to perform well. But we also need to then continue to track and make sure that we are getting the value out of this implementation. Remember the KPIs that we set up? And we need to continuously discuss and understand and monitor this value jointly. And if it goes well, then we're ready to go for the next machine learning model. So, if you don't know how to perform all of these steps, that's completely fine. Because when we now start looking into the skills and the competencies that are required, there's actually a full team that's involved in developing and deploying machine learning models and a churn model. So, looking at this chart here, we see that this is a fully cross functional team. And looking at the roles here, it's really a combination of skills from the business side and from the IT side, and some roles that are a little bit in between. So starting from the right side here on the IT side, you would have the data engineer that's responsible for building the data pipelining and providing the data. Then you would have the data scientist, which is the person that actually builds the model and evaluates, trains the models, and works with continuous improvements on the model. Then you would have the business analyst that is responsible for gathering the requirements. You have the actual business owner, who is the person who's actually ordering and responsible for this implementation from the business side. And then you have the end user, who's actually using their model in their daily work to help make better decisions. So all these roles play together in order to be successful in your implementation. So now let's talk about data. First, consider this. You would never hire somebody that you hadn't interviewed, right? And now you're asking data to help you make important business critical decisions. Well, you have to know it and you have to understand it. That's a prerequisite. So, my advice here would really be to get friendly with your data. Get to know it and treat it with respect, and it will respect you back. So, with that said, let's look at some interesting data points that might help us predict churn amongst our customers. So, if we think about Dear Data TV, our fictive company again, let's think about maybe subscriber interactions. So, how often is somebody watching Dear Data TV? That might be an indicator if they're likely to leave. Or other things like subscription details, like how long have they been a customer? That might also impact their likelihood to leave us. Or maybe demographics like age or where you live. Another interesting data point could be service interaction. So, have they called customer support? Have they had a lot of problems with their service? Or have they been browsing around on our website or in the app looking for how to end their subscription? There might be a call for trying to reach out and prevent them from leaving. We might also add external data points like what our competitors are doing or economical factors, or maybe there could be seasonal influences to the likelihood of our customers leaving. So, all these are some potential data points that we might use when trying to build and prevent churn and a churn model. So, time now to talk a little bit more about the technical capabilities or the systems, as we like to call it. And the reason that we call it that is because I used to have a colleague once who said, why can't we just have one system, Josephine, and we can call it the system? Then that would reduce all of the complexity around all these systems. Well, unfortunately, it's not that easy, and most companies have a lot of systems with a lot of different functionality that builds the capabilities that we need. And it's similar in this case. There are lots of different capabilities involved in building a use case like this. So let's look at the different components from more of a conceptual perspective. So if we look at this conceptual overview of the capabilities needed from a technical perspective, and we start from the left side, we can see our data sources, and those we talked about before. We are requiring input data in order to build our model. Then we have the data layer, which is kind of where the data lives. So it's the repository, central repository for where we store different types of data, where we consolidate, clean, and make it ready for analysis. Then we have the AI decisioning layer. So this is kind of where the AI lives, in this case, when we're building it ourselves. And this is the layer that's responsible for training, evaluating, and building the model. And that will give us an output that we can use in the next step, which is around the orchestration. So the orchestration is where we start being able to build business value out of this. So it's very common here to have some kind of CDP or customer data platform that helps us build like a 360 view of the customer, so that we can decide and build customer profiles and decide, how do we now activate based on this communication? Who gets what? And once we've decided that in the orchestration layer, it's time to get into the activation. So in the activation layer, there are normally different types of capabilities for different types of channels. If we look at SMS and email, which are two common channels, we normally have a marketing automation system that helps with the activation. If we look at web and app, we normally have some kind of CMS that helps us activate. Here we also have the bought media, the ad tech. So normally we have some kind of tools for that. And we could also have additional channels and tools, for example, customer support. So providing detailed information to our sales and service agents based on our models. So once we have been able to activate across here, it's also important finally to have the insights. So going back to, we started this discussion with saying how important it is to set up the KPIs and to track the value and to discuss and communicate to really get the change going in the business. Because independent of what you do, the change will be the most difficult part of a transformation like this. So the visualizations and the insights could be either coming from one of the systems, or you might be building some visualization dashboards or similar in some visualization tools. But in summary, these are the capabilities that are needed to build a machine learning churn use case. Obviously, it's conceptual and it can be done in many different ways, but these are some of the basic capabilities. Time for the final step in this churn model implementation training. So we're going to end with giving you some dear advice on your journey, and we really hope that you're going to be successful. So number one, very important, is to have a good cross-functional collaboration between business and IT. So if you're not already working in cross-functional teams, you should start. Number two, data, data, data. We talked about it before. It's extremely important. You will get stuck if you don't have the right data at hand. So start working proactively with your data management, with your data strategy. And I think some advice here is quality over quantity as well to get started. Thirdly, don't lose track of value. Value is very important. It's possible to do pretty much everything right now from a technical perspective. So it's very important to do the right things. So make sure that you deliver value in your implementations, and try to deliver value as early as possible in your implementations. Fourthly, try to be a learning organization. This is an iterative, evolutionary process. You're not going to have everything figured out day one, so you need to learn together as you go, and you will figure it out. Lastly, even though you will figure it out, it will most likely be a struggle at times. So it's very important to celebrate. So I kept the most important KPI for the end of this session, which is not churn, it's not CLV, and it's not customer satisfaction, it's cake. So the most important thing is to celebrate and have cake, and to celebrate the small achievements that you do along your implementation journey. So with that said, good luck. I hope you enjoyed this training. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you soon again. Bye.